I will start recording and to welcome you in the organic farm today. As you saw before, Jean is our host, so he opened his house and he's opened his farm for us to be here. He has been traveling all over the world, and I was very surprised about all the farms that he has planted and worked with. He's agriculture. He has studied agriculture, ecology, and landscape, and he had created and built gardens not only in Estonia but in Morocco and Indonesia. Um, Oh, I forgot them, and so many other European and outside of European countries. For me, the most interesting was in Morocco because he's French, so he has done things in France, in UK. Now they start coming into my mind, and now he has started this project here in Estonia. And you will meet also Nelle. She will be with him. She's local, and she's doing her farm is about grapes, and you can see how they have the greenhouse and how they want to pass it to the land and actually cultivate them there, which I find it quite interesting and very important to see people coming from all over the world and follow their dream here. So that's all from me. I see that they're still black, so I have to check what is going on there and if they have started. So enjoy it, keep a lot of make a lot of questions, keep a lot of notes, and get the best out of it. Thank you.
You can start.
Hello everyone. Okay, here's the project. Basically, is everything is about producing fertility, producing vegetal material, organic material, trying to keep the carbon fixed in the soil, and by keeping the carbon fixed in the soil, you will increase the fertility. And this all what's happening here. The garden is a little bit a mess because, the gardeners, we're always very good when we are paid and working for someone else. But for ourselves, we always say, okay, we have time to do that. But it's the main issue, actually. And basically, everything is based on, I would say, on the readings of few authors, like Bill Mollison, that everyone knows, I believe. Faulkner. Dominic Salter is an agronomist, French agronomist, very interesting. And after you have some other people like Joey Salatin, you have other kind of authors, Perkins in Sweden also. And it's very, very interesting and very empowering when you read these guys because they show you that the fertility can be achieved anywhere, everywhere, and with the different manners. You just have to use the local resources. And the point of this little farm, this is the first year, is more experimental for now, but I want to try if there was a market and if I can produce everything that I want. And that's why, for example, here you have some rhubarbs, and this is the first year of the rhubarbs, that's why they're looking a little bit like that. But on the same time, I have my first seedings, because I do my own seeds also of parsnip here. I keep the weeds. I don't weed too much because the weeds is very important. Actually, most of the people used to take out the weeds, but the weeds capture most of the micro elements in the soil and bring them back. And after you can use them back to increase the fertility. The weeds that you see are usually trained, I would say. They will be selected for years to years, million of years actually, to be the first plants to come and to restructure the soil. That's why when you have a lot of weed, means your soil had some, that is not balanced anymore. And the weeds give back this balance to the soil. That's why the weeds are very important the first years. And you don't have to take them out straight away. You have to leave them a little bit and they will be much better for the soil after. That's why I leave, and that's why it's not very clean. And that's why the garden have to be like that. But the fertility is very high. If you look well, my seeds for the parsnip, for example, they are quite ready. and means this in 2 weeks time, they will be ready to collect, and I have my seeds for next year. Okay, and basically I have a greenhouse where there's some tomatoes inside. This is my dog. Yeah, was barking against the drone. She doesn't like the drone. And here you have some cellar, late planting cellar, one on the mulch. Means all this part had some compost and has been mulching, and after we had more mulch, more mulch. You can see all the weeds are here, and basically what we're doing fertilizing rows between, and after I spread them out back to the beds where we cultivate, bring back the elements, the fertilizing elements. And here you have some cellar, here you have some lettuce, and if you look well here, you see all the weeds, and after we can do a turn, and you will be surprised by the size of the beetroots that we already have there, and the size of the cabbages. And the cabbages and the weed are really happy because they don't have any plague, any kind of insect come to find them because they're lost everywhere. And actually, it's working quite well. We'll go a little bit further. And actually, I love flowers, and I believe that we have to have a lot of flowers. Okay, I want you to have just a check here. Okay, this is a cabbage, is a Brussels sprout, and you can see that they start on having these little things. Why? Because this is really exposed to it's very open, it's not hidden. But we can see the other ones, you will see that there's quite no more of these caterpillars, actually. And this is the hay. Actually, is hay and not straw, because the straw usually is too pure. And when you take hay, you have different kinds of elements and plants, and they're not exactly the same. And you have a better carbon balance when you add it to the soil than hay. Hay is like paper, it's just cellulose. Here you have cellulose, but you have different kind of cellulose. You don't have just one. Means for this is much more nutritious. And don't worry about the weeds or the seeds. There's no problem on that. You can use it, whatever happens, and it will be great. And yeah, these are my chicories. And actually, I'm keeping them in flower because to have seeds for next year. That's why we're going there. Here I have some beetroots. And here, actually, I already had 3 crops here. Okay, I had the lettuce. I had some more chards and beetroots, and I had now the cabbage. And the cabbage, if you look well, here they have very few attacks of the insects because there was the weed and they quite separate, and you don't feel any really strong plague. Here you have the chards, here you have the beetroots, and basically this is on pure compost. There's no working, is no digging method, is no deal. We don't work the soil in a traditional way to make a bouleversement, to mix all the levels of the soil, all the, I forgot the name. Someone can help me. All the
horizons.
Yes, exactly. Because on the first 20 centimeters, usually you have a lot of organic material, and after you have less and less and less and less. And when you're digging, you're mixing everything and you're destroying all the life in the soil. If you want to keep the fertility, you have to keep the life in the soil. And all the weeds here, for example, they're drying, and after they will go back to the beds where it's good, the cultivation is. Now I will go a little bit further. Okay, you have to understand that the water is very low. This year was quite dry. That's why I try to find some methods to avoid to water too much. And actually, the non-digging is quite surprisingly successful. And here I come here. It looks like the mess, but the turnips. Maybe here I have I would say between 40 and 60 of the turnips. And I can show you the turnips. Here's the white turnips. It's a very old variety. It's not very regular. Tastes really good, and people eat it raw or cooked. And here, yeah, I have 60 pounds of this. And after this one, be sure that my good friend Sister, my baby goat, will come and pick it up. You have parsley, and the parsley is here, the row is here, but I have to clean up. Now I will be digging this area to do some more seedlings. I have some leftovers of onions that I'm keeping to do some seeds for next year. Here you have some chicory. Go, go, sister. Sister. She's my help. Here you have some chicories. Here you have the first carrots. And actually these carrots are a very old also variety, because I always try to keep some old varieties of carrots. And actually it's round carrots, very short, very round, very sweet, and they come very early. That's why we don't need, for example, to wait the 3 months usual. These in 1 month and a half, 2 months, they come on this size, and they're really, really sweet. Here I have some seedlings, and these will be my radish seeds and dill seeds. Actually, here you have, here, if you come a little bit here, you have all the chives, and the chives actually are spectacular. They're really doing really well. And here there's Brussels sprouts, more the Brussels sprouts. And I'm just taking you a little bit, but as you can see, you quite don't have any attack of the white caterpillar, which will eat all the cabbages. Here you have tatsoi on the end, and here you have a very, very strange tomato. Actually, is what we call the Siberian tomato. And here, the first ones, and from outside is outdoor, and this in Estonia, people doesn't believe it can happen. They always want to get it inside. And yeah, my wither, yeah, is a red currant, her name actually. And basically, here's the garden. And the point of this garden, yes, kill all my tomatoes, sister. It's okay. The point of this garden is to sell to some people, but is also to kill the goat who's killing my fucking tomatoes. Hey, sister, tole. Tole, sister. I'm here, she have to be here, and she's wondering why we're doing that. And actually, in clients, I have restaurants, I have private people, and also what they do is every Saturday, we spend the day doing the garden, and everyone, sorry for that, goes back with a basket of vegetables full of, I don't know, cabbage, beetroots, salads, and basically everything that's in production. Looks the cows, but everything is really, 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 the fertility is really high. If you look here, it's really surprising. And actually, I want to show you something. Look, this area, okay, this area, you have these weeds, it's Canopodium. And look how much organic material is done there. And this organic material will be reused to return to the soil. And also, I have something a little bit great called the chicken tractor. Follow me. And we cross here. You have to imagine this and here. Okay, if you look well, I have this kind of little cage. Okay, little cage where you have some chicken and they clean me up everything. And after that, I have a clean soil where I can cultivate. That's why I'm using also the weed to feed the chickens, because there's no point on not having animals involved on the process. The animals is very important, and actually it's very hard and they're hiding, but it's really cool. And all the point of this is we don't use fuel energy to do all the process of production. We try to do everything by hand. That's why you have to save time, we have to save energy, whatever happens. And I use some different kind of tools for making the soil back to a cultivation possibility, because you have to understand that we cannot plant everything from plants. We need in time to seed it. And here basically we have I have this kind of tool who do this fantastic work in very short time. And it's like a cultivator, but you know, you do that and straight away you will have the soil ready to plant, and you haven't disturbed the life in the soil at all, because you're not moving all the levels of the soil, the different strats. I don't know this name in English. The different layers basically, and that's why I'm using that. And just after that, you have a perfect soil that you can use. And like everything, we have good things, bad things happening. It's the first year. And actually, I want you also to introduce someone really cool that she done this with me since the beginning, is Nele. Because Nele, she's having a farm not far from me. We met around clematis flowers, basically. And we became friends 2 years ago.
1 year ago.
1 year ago? No, more. No, it was, yes, that's right. 1 year in something.
Yep.
And when I explained her the project, she said, yes, I want to try. And her garden is 10 times better than mine, trust me.
Thank you. So hello everybody. That's true. Jean introduced me the method, how to do it. He was my mentor and motivating me when I was low times. And actually it's a really cool thing to do, and I think everybody who are interested in this kind of things should start and do it.
Yes, and there's one book that you have to read if you have this kind of mind. Is You Can Farm from Jüri.
Yeah.
It's very motivating, and you can have all the ideas, but this book makes something that, oh yes, I need to do it.
And it's really easy learning, and with every page you understand, like, yeah, okay, now I want to start. Okay, now what is the first thing?
And there's no first thing on the end. You just have to start
somewhere.
That's why this year, whatever happens, I will start. And I know everything is not perfect, but actually, I love my vegetables. I love the taste they have. I love the way that the people are reacting to them. And also I love the idea of sharing, because food is something that it will be more and more, the price will increase a lot, actually. And most of the people don't know anymore how a carrot grows, or a tomato grows, or a radish grows. And for Nele and me, those kind of things look obvious, but we are surprised that a lot of people doesn't know this anymore. And you can do it. You can do your own production. You can be not self-sufficient, because it's a myth, I would say.
Yep.
But basically, you can have a healthy food, whatever happens. And my point is, this garden, you have money or not, you can have vegetables, whatever happens.
And what can be better than just take your basket, go to the garden and just pick up everything and you can cook whatever you want.
Yeah, and then in time to time you have to discover new vegetables.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a quick introduction, and all the garden is based on ecology, is based on ecological system basically. We have to understand how work the soil, how work a plant, how work also the surrounding of the area, the garden. And as soon as we get it, we can produce it. But we need for that to be not focused, but we have to be open-minded. We have to look all the little details, what's happening, what's what we want on the end, what we want, which kind of future we want also, because this is a philosophy. It's not anymore about money or whatever. We are arriving in times where we have to think about these kind of things, and that we have to find some new ways of production where I would say 1 hectare of land can give a living for one person, a decent living. And that's why we have to get out of the normal way of thinking. I would say the conventional industrialization that we are facing, and we have to stop to waste the organic materials. We have to stop to waste the energy as much as we can, because this energy will be ending quite soon in reality. And I would say most of the studies, we know that some people are saying that we still have fossil fuel for 40 years, other ones for 20 years, but affordable energy, I would say it's a much shorter time, I believe. And yeah, that's why we have to try to produce in a different way, and to be more local, bring up more the people to the what they want. And that's all is what I can do more. Is there more questions?
Thank you very much, Jan, for lending us and introducing us to your garden, and show also to the others. I'm the lucky one who being here and saw them real life, but I think your crew gave the opportunity, and with your presentation as well, to see all the beautiful things that you have there, and with how much love and care you have created all these things. One comment until they will just drop the questions in the chat from my side is that in Estonia, because the weather, let's say, is not the best, and you don't have a big production as you have in other countries regarding agriculture, they are doing a lot of about the food system. I want to talk a lot of imports from other countries, and to find good quality vegetables, especially in the winter, is very difficult, especially in the cities. So these initiatives that basically you can bring from the countryside organic food in a very good condition, that it has grown without traveling, and from Taiwan to Tallinn, but it's from 20 kilometers away, and you know the producer, and you feel in the taste that it tastes earth, how we can say that it tastes nature. It's quite valuable and important, and it's something that we definitely need. We start Sarah's question. So she would like to hear more about how you involve animals in your production.
Okay, let's move a little bit, because it's quite sunny now. How I involve animals. Okay, have a look on this goat, this little goat. She's eating, all right? And well, she's a mess. She's eating things that she shouldn't eat, for sure. But I have some chickens. I use the chickens to introduce on this, because the chickens clean up. The goat can clean up also, but I don't want, because if I want her to clean up, I have to attach her and tie her somewhere. And I'm falling quite in love with this this animal. She's a little devil, but it's okay. I forgive her a lot. The animals eat the leftovers of the crops that you haven't sold. And also, when the chicken are free, they go and eat the bugs and everything. Means they redo balance. But you don't have to have too much. You have to have the right amount. But with the chicken tractor, what it's doing is actually they eating everything. They're transforming this in poo and manure, and you're refertilizing the rows. And you don't have to work after that. You can just plant straight away where you finish your line with the chicken tractor. And yes, the animals is very, very, very important because they give another kind of element more fast assimilating by the plants than the pure compost, pure vegetal. That's why the animals, you have some, also the worms. It's very important to have the worms on the soil. And I'm really happy when I see my soil with worms because it means there's a life. And you cannot just trust only the fungus to transform the organic material in fertilizing elements. You also have to trust the animals. And you just have to see how an animal eat and yeah, basically shit and do the manure. And this is a very fast assimilating nutrients for the plants. But the compost is a very low. That's why you need a compost, more vegetal used by the decomposition and fermentation and everything, to do the what we call the argilo-humic complex, who keeps all the elements and the water and give a structure to the soil. But in time to time, these take a long time to do. And you can accelerate the process using a little bit of animal manure. And the animal manure is really important. That's why you have to integrate. Well, I will make this short, the resume. Why animals? Because they use the leftovers of your crop. They fertilize in a more efficient way, I would say, in time and less time consuming the organic material in fertilizing elements. And also it's cool to have fresh eggs. It's really cool to have fresh eggs. And a little bit of life in a garden is really, 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 is very important.
Horses and
Thank you.
Yes, and I haven't told about horses and bees and everything, but I can go much, much, much further. If you have bees in a garden, you have to understand that your production basically on fruit vegetables like zucchinis, like tomatoes, like pepper, like strawberries, like raspberries, like apples, like what else?
all the fruits.
Even grapes?
Yes, and
Yeah, grapes. Yeah, everything will be increasing a lot. You can. The studies have shown that you can increase by 25 to 30% your production between with bees or without bees. Means insects are really important. That's why also, if you see well all around the garden, you have wild parts that I keep really, really wild, because these wild parts also is a very, very, very good biotope for all the insects. And you have the pollinating insects, and you have also the insects who eat the bugs who eat your crop. And also you have the toads and the frogs who eat the snails and all these kind of slugs and all these kind of things. That's why you have to have a little bit of biodiversity belt around your garden. Another question?
We have quite many. So I will start firstly regarding the climate and winter weather circumstances here. So how you face the winter period in this type of farm and climate?
Okay, climate. I believe we are wrong about Estonian climate, because on the end we have exactly the same amount of sun than France, but in a shorter period. Means if you look well, when you look at the growth of the plants here, you will be amazed because they grow quite twice faster than in other areas more temperate, because you have longer days. And if you look well, in June you can have quite 20 hours day long, and it makes even the temperature is just 20 degrees. Hey, it will be growing for 20 hours. That's why it's quite crazy. But for the summertime, there's not an issue. For the winter time, actually, we should do some crops that we have to protect from the frost. And there's a lot of solutions that you can find in, I don't know, Coleman's. producing in winter, or Jean-Marie Fortier, the garden market. These two authors give a lot of solutions about the winter crops and how to use it. But I don't have the money for the moment to invest on that. And I'm not sure that I want to invest on that, because maybe we should have our alimentation fitting what the natural season can give us. I'm sorry, if in winter we only can eat potatoes or cabbage or carrots, we have to do with that. We don't need strawberries in winter. We need more this kind of vegetables, I believe. Another question? Do I have an answer to the question?
I think so. So I can move in the next one about if you use any particular plants next to the Siberian tomato that are originally from the area here, and how do you choose which plants to grow?
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
Yes, before you show the tomato,
Yep.
and if you use any particular plants next to this tomato that are originally from the area, from Estonia, and how do you choose and how you choose the plants that you're growing here?
Okay. Okay, I have all varieties of potatoes that you can see maybe by the drone up. I have all varieties of rhubarb. Okay, I have all varieties of peas also from Estonian peas. I try to keep traditional varieties. And the tomatoes, for example, tomatoes are crazy. Tomato, you have 300 different kind of tomatoes minimum. And if you look well, you can find even much more. These tomatoes are called Siberian tomatoes, and the seeds come from a tomato fan. And basically, all the seeds, the biggest collection in tomatoes, potatoes, are in St. Petersburg. And St. Petersburg is just a few kilometers from here. It's 3 hours of car, and that's why we have the seeds. And it's a huge collection of tomatoes. And I just want to remind you something, is horticulture and was very, very powerful until the 40s. And here around the area, they have been succeed on doing things that you cannot imagine, especially on the Russian side. I was reading some documents, and it's very, very, very surprising. But basically, until the Poland area, they was able to grow some lemons with specific techniques, but basically outdoor lemons. And you have some other questions?
Yes, let's go about the consumerism part. What scale of production do you work at? What proportion of your local consumers or the community it is? And how do you work? Do you work on a local network, or when you have additional stock from the production that you have?
All right. Okay, the community, I would say, take 40% of the crops. Okay, 40 to 50%. And for me, is okay. Is okay. And because I don't have this very minded business for this year on the focus. And the second part of the question was?
So basically, how? Yeah, you said what kind of production you're working at, how much it goes to the community, and how do you share your products?
How do you feel my?
How do you share them? Do you exchange them in the community? Do you sell them?
Oh, yes. Yeah, okay. The system is very simple. You come to work and you go back with the vegetable that you want. And you fill up one basket with basically one crate, one black crate that we can see here. Look. And you're allowed to do that because the people who have work, they know all the effort that you have done to produce. You know, you have this crate and they fill up. You can do whatever you want, you can say whatever you want. and it's cool. That's also one of the reasons that I don't want to do this kind of place farm where the people can and pick up by themselves, because they won't respect your work. If the people work on the place, they will respect, because they know how much effort is needed to produce this, especially when you don't have tractors or pesticides or weed killers. I answered the question.
I think so, yes. And one more question regarding what is your opinion or experience on food forests?
Oh, food forest. Oh God. Whew. Food forest is a great concept. It's a great concept because the trees are the base of everything. Just think about it. The trees is petrol. The trees is can be bakelite, can be varnish, can be plastic. Is based on wood. Never forget that everything that you have around is based on the trees, on the plants. The tree forests actually use a very smart idea, because the borders of a forest is the more productive and areas in whatever happens. We call this ecological transition zone, zone de transition écologique in French. I don't remember the name in English. And these zones are highly productive because you have trees, you have perennials, you have herbaceous plants, and you have shrubs. Basically, you have all stages of vegetation in one side, and the goat is eating my zuzus. It's lovely. And the forest trees are fantastic, but we in Montpellier, by the National Agronomic Research Center, the French one, showed that the tree forest will be very valuable, but we don't have to focus only in what we can eat. We also have to focus in what the trees kind of fertility they can bring. If you just put some apples, it won't work. But if you start on put some poplar, aspen, I don't know, walnut, oak, and ash, and elder, and okay, from now you're having a very good production, and will happen that the trees will be much more stronger and your production will be much higher, because the fertilizing elements will be coming up to the surface of the soil much easier. And it's one of the points of the forest trees actually. You use trees to go to pick up the fertilizing elements deep in the soil, and you bring it back on the surface. And it's what we not doing anymore on the fields. We just put some wheat, okay, and the wheat we do some fertilizers. They don't have any more roots, and we are killing all the soil. Well, nowadays the soil is more a support of growing. A substrate is not anymore a soil. Another question?
Yes, thank you very much. So we'll have one last question regarding with your current setup. Have you ever experienced any problems in terms of lacking of nutrients or pesticides issues? And what are the major agricultural problems that you face during this year?
The goat is a big problem, but I can deal with that. Actually, my biggest problem was me. Past everything is not the problem. You cannot blame the thing. You always have some solution, and you just have to be more focused on what you're doing. And this year, for the first year, I had some personal things will happen. I wasn't any more focused as I should be, and I lost some. I lost some leads that I should have been following. And I will never blame the past. I never blame the weather, because it's something that we have to work with. There's no problem with anything. You just have to react, and you have to be concentrated and focused in what you want, and what your achievement. And yeah, basically, you don't have past problem. You have just a problem not being giving attention enough to the little details. But this you will learn year by year, and you are allowed to fail, but try to understand why you failed, and don't try to take some imaginary fail. You failed first because you haven't been really focused on. I believe this is the main point that I can tell. Another question, a bit maybe?
I think that's all that we have at the moment. And we are exactly on time. So we haven't run, we ran 2 minutes. So it's fine, it's totally fine. I would like to thank you once more again for giving this extremely nice tour in your garden and open your house as well for us to be here. And a great applause also to the video crew. We're getting a lot of positive feedback. So Magnus, Martin, and Sebastian, know you hear me. So thank you very much for being here and giving us these amazing pictures.
I'm
And
going to tell
and
you
the
also.
cool, yeah, and yes, and Ella, thank you very much for being here. And
Yeah.
I will drop out their contacts so you can see also what Nella is creating there with the grapes. Wonderful farm. And this project, as far as I understand, you have started together happening here, right?
But basically, we was exchanging, and because we have a little bit kind of
Yeah.
yeah, basically yes, we have different lives. Yeah, she have too many boyfriends. I have so much less than we can never find the right time. No, it's a joke. It's a joke. But yes, we was exchanging a lot, and I convinced her. I don't know how that this can work, and actually, it's really well working at her place.
It was quite a big surprise for me that it can work and so well. So I'm really happy and thankful.
But because the point is, after what we want to do is a kind of little farms like us, and to be able to not. I'm against the organic or bio or all this kind of label. I believe we should put label on chemical production, not in natural production. This is the main point. This is the major point. After we go in politics, we can go in a lot of things. And what I want to do is do with Nele and probably another one, 3 or 4 little farmers, and we start to make a market where the people can come and pick up their vegetables and order fresh and healthy vegetables. And they know where it's come from. They know basically how it's produced, how lazy I am, how hard worker she is, or vice versa, depending on the case.
And next to vegetables, different berries and herbs as well.
Yeah, herbs, everything. Everything is about plants. Comes
That's so
from
true.
plants.
I will close it with a phrase that you said actually that we should not labeling the natural production, but we should label actually the chemicals. We have to return back what is the normal thing. We should not anymore label it as something different because it's what is coming from nature and how it must be. And I'm very happy to see this kind of initiatives that starts from people like you, Jean and Nele, that is small in the communities. You do what you do, and people are I see that it gets much more and more popular and more and more accessible. And let's hope for this shift to continue. And I would like to thank you once more.
Thank you.
The only thing that I want to say is you have to share, you have to give them. We will be probably facing times where we have to share, we have to love somehow, okay? We have to love the product, we have to love each other. It's really shitty way of saying that, but it's really true. And we have to find some support from the other, and we have to give support to the others. That's why if some people want some help, I have contacts more or less all around the world on the same things. And if you need seeds or whatever, you just ask. We have, I can find some seeds, and we have a huge, we are a huge community of gardeners. And we have to trust the gardeners. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And
will
I
pass
wish
it
you
over.
all the best. And
Thanks.
please just if you have more questions, send it by email, whatever, and I will reply through Katerina.
That's great. So all your contacts are in Brightspace, so you can find all the information about and his farm there. And I would like to pass it up to Sarah and Niv now for what we're
Yep.
doing next.
Yeah, well, whatever. I just need to drink a glass of water now.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Really
you very much,
appreciate it.
everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Lovely to meet you all.